Hey folks, Healer here. Wargaming announced two new premium cruisers coming to the game. These are expected to go into system testing in Update 0.10.2, and again, everything on the blog is subject to change. Starting at the top here with the premium Tier 8 Royal Navy light cruiser HMS Tiger 59. This is a ship that actually existed. She will have four 152mm guns. And in fact, these guns look like the same on the Minotaur. So kind of gave me the impression that maybe the Minotaur, or at least when Wargaming designed the Minotaur, they lifted the gun systems from the ship and used them for the Minotaur. These are going to be relatively high arcing, but very fast firing. These are going to be the Royal Navy light cruiser short fuse AP. So kind of an interesting build here. Because she has only four guns, she's going to have 40% the DPM of the Minotaur. And again, obviously it being at Tier 8, you wouldn't expect it to have the same DPM, but it's going to be kind of interesting to see how effective she's going to be. She will have repair party. There's no statement in here whether it's the super heal that some of the Royal Navy light cruisers receive. She will have surveillance radar, smoke generator, and defensive fire. She will, however, not have torpedoes. So going to be kind of interesting. She will have good maneuverability and small detectability, which is typical of Royal Navy light cruisers. And again, because she's going to be pretty thinly armored, as typical of Royal Navy light cruisers, but with the very floaty ballistics, or relatively floaty ballistics, she'll be able to use island cover when she's not in smoke pretty effectively. The main question in my mind is really how effective she's going to be from a combat perspective, because she mounts only four guns for the game. So we'll have to see. The next ship that's been announced is the premium Tier 7 German cruiser, the Weimar. Now, this is going to be based on the hull of the York with 12 Nuremberg guns. In fact, I should characterize them more as 12 Mainz guns. So the Nuremberg Mainz and now the Weimar have these 150mm rapid firing quick ballistic shells, although German shells tend to get pretty floaty at range, and so they tend to get a little floaty out past 12 kilometers or so, excuse me. But it's kind of an interesting blend here. So she is going to have essentially the gun power of the Mainz. In fact, she's going to have the faster reload than the Nuremberg, and it will match the Mainz at 5 seconds. But the range isn't quite as strong. So the Nuremberg and the Mainz have ranges beyond 16 kilometers. The Weimar is expected to have a range of 15.4. So I think when she is top tier, I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. When she's not top tier, when she's facing, especially like against Tier 9s and some of the bigger maps, that shortened range or the range that's not quite as strong might be a little bit of an issue. We'll have to see. But otherwise, she looks like she could be a beast or in fact, she will be a beast from a DPM perspective. She will mount 12 German torpedoes, so 6 on each side. She will also get engine boost, and this will be a buffed version of the engine boost. And again, everything on the blog is subject to change, so this could all change, but the current spec is that she will get engine boost with a 15% bump in her speed, and obviously she will get the German hydroacoustic surge. So pretty interesting build here. Let me get to some of the details on the specs here between these two ships. So for the Tiger, her hit point pool at 33,100 is pretty typical for Royal Navy light cruisers, or for cruisers at that tier in general. The plating says 25 millimeters, which I'm not sure about, because usually the Royal Navy light cruisers tend to be more thinly armed than their peers at the tier. So the upper tier Royal Navy light cruisers tend to only have 16 or 19 millimeter surfaces. So I don't know if this is a change or a departure specific for the ship. We'll have to see. The Tiger will have the same range as the Minotaur at 15.6 kilometers. And again, because she does not have access to that 6th upgrade slot, she cannot increase that range. The shell performance looks the same as on the Minotaur, same alpha, same speed on the shells, same base reload time of 3.2 seconds. And again, because she can't mount an upgrade in slot 6, she will not be able to bring the reload down to 2.8 seconds like the Minotaur can. Same really quick turrets, 4.7 seconds for 180 degrees. And then good sigma and decent dispersion, typical of cruisers. AA looks pretty good. Her main battery acts as dual purpose, so the mid-range AA looks pretty strong with the mounts that she has. Her long range isn't quite as good, so we'll have to see how effective the defensive fire would be on the ship, but otherwise looks kind of interesting. Base speed is okay, 30.2 knots, a very small turning circle, 590 meters is very small. For a cruiser at this tier. A reasonably good rudder shift at 8.9, but assuming, and I don't know this for sure because it doesn't state here, that she receives the propulsion mod effect built in, players will typically take the steering gears upgrade in slot 4 and so bring this down to probably a little more than 7 seconds. Base detection is 11.7 kilometers, and with camo and the concealment skill and the concealment upgrade, this will come down to 9.2 kilometers. And when I get to the surveillance radar, she will be able to stealth radar. So she will mount, obviously, damage control. She'll have repair party, and she will have smoke generator. Looks like the same smoke as what the Edinburgh receives. Surveillance radar, 30-second duration, 10-kilometer range. So again, with a 9.2 best concealment, she will be able to stealth radar. The issue at hand for me in terms of the playstyle, again, with the relatively few number of guns, the question in my mind is, how likely is she going to want to, sort of light up something that she could detect from a stealth radar perspective and then potentially fire upon, unless she's in some sort of cover or smoke or something like that, to be able to cut something down. The Minotaur can sometimes get away with this because she puts out so much DPM so quickly that you often finish off your target and then you can slip away. I'm not sure how effective the Tiger will be from that perspective, but we'll have to see. And again, she does carry the defensive fire, defensive AA fire consumable as well. So kind of an interesting build. And for those of you who like the Royal Navy light cruisers, looks like an interesting add to the game. Now for the German cruiser, the Weimar, again, hit point pool typical for a tier 7 cruiser, or in particular German cruiser, 32,000 hit points. Plating is 16 millimeters. So the York received a buff during 2020 to receive 25 millimeter bows and sterns, which now allows her to bow tank 14-inch or 356 millimeter shells, or AP shells fired by battleships. The Weimar, being a light cruiser, looks like she is not going to receive that benefit, even though Wargaming characterizes the ship as having good armor. I'm assuming what they imply by that is that she's going to have the same sort of quasi-turtleback structure that the York receives that can provide her some better protection, but we'll have to see. She, again, fires 12 150 millimeter guns. Folks comfortable with the Nuremberg, the Königsberg, and the Mainz will be very familiar with these ballistics and these gun systems, so it should be very comfortable for those players to pick up. Firing range, to me, is the part that I'm not so sure about. This is atypically short range for a German cruiser. The York has a range that is beyond 17 kilometers. The Nuremberg and the Mainz both enjoy ranges beyond 16 kilometers. So, in fact, the Mainz beyond 17 kilometers as well. So, interesting effect here. It means that the Weimar has to be more selective in terms of positioning, probably, to be able to work from positions that it can operate, or places where it can operate because of the limited range. So we'll have to see how this works, but there's no question in my mind this is going to be a DPM machine. She has the same HE and AP shell performance as on the Nuremberg, same very fast shells at 950 meters per second out of the barrels. Again, German cruisers have quite light shells, so the shells lose speed more quickly over range, and they will tend to get a little more floaty out past about 12 kilometers. And again, folks familiar with these gun systems will know what I'm talking about. Reload is 5 seconds, so same reload speed as on the Mainz. Turret speed is the same as on the Nuremberg and Mainz at 23.7 seconds for 180 degrees. Very similar dispersion, and Sigma is 2.0, so very good. And again, she mounts 2 sets of 3 German torpedoes on each side, same sort of mediocre damage at 13,700. Same range at 6 kilometers, 64 knots, and reload of 68 seconds. So again, folks comfortable or familiar with German cruiser torpedo systems will know what these are all about. AA looks okay. The short range is decent. The long range is not particularly strong. But this is a Tier 7 cruiser, so we'll have to see how that works out. I didn't pull up the York to see how it compares there, but it's probably going to be quite similar. Okay, base speed is 31 knots. Turning circle is 650 meters, which is pretty good for a cruiser and actually quite strong for German cruisers. The upper tier German cruisers in particular tend to have pretty big turning circles because the hulls are big or they're very long. The York is atypical in that her turning circle radius is also relatively good. Decent rudder shift at 8.8 seconds. And best concealment will be 12.1 kilometers with camo, the concealment skill, and just those two items. It will be 12.1 kilometers. She will obviously have damage control. She will get the German hydro with a ship detection range of 5.5 kilometers. She will have the option instead of also potentially mounting defensive fire instead, but any good German cruiser player is going to know to take the hydro. And she will get the engine boost, like I said. This is going to be kind of interesting. This is going to give her buff speed by 15%. Maybe part of the play style is that because of the relatively shorter range, she sort of comes in for an ambush type situation and then tries to use her speed to get out of threat more quickly. We'll have to see. And then she does mount the fighter as well. So 2 interesting ships coming to the game. I'm certainly looking forward to playing both of them since I consider myself a cruiser main, and obviously I like pretty much everything that's German, and certainly the something that's based on the York with Mainz guns is certainly going to put a smile on my face. So I hope you enjoyed the commentary here. Let me know your thoughts on these 2 new ships in the comments below. And as always, we hope to see you out there on the virtual seas, and we wish you happy sailing.